So, yes, while it is true that I am a horror movie fan first, I'm also just a cinephile. And today, I want to show you guys some of my favorite non horror movies that I own in my collection. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick at the Lost River Driving, and I'm coming at you tonight to show you guys just a handful of movies off the shelves that I'm really passionate about, that I really enjoy, that are non-horror films that I want to share with you guys. First and foremost, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit subscribe down there. Weekly live streams and uploads that we do here. Check out the Patreon and check me out on social media. Now, a lot of these movies are action movies. And for whatever reason, I'm also a comedy guy, but I don't own a ton of comedies, which is weird. I feel like I stream my comedy more than purchase it. So a lot of these movies I'm going to show you guys tonight are action movies, and these are not my favorite movies, like, overall, aside from horror. These are just some that I handpicked off the shelf that I thought would be a cool idea to give you guys some insight into the type of movies I like outside of horror. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this started. And the first movie that I want to talk about is Casino Royale. A lot of people that are Bond fans, or even if you're just an action movie fan, this movie is heralded as one of the best Bond films. And for good reason. It is. It is one of the best Bond films. And this movie gave us a new Bond with Daniel Craig right after the Pierce Brosnan era, and everybody freaked out because we had a blonde-haired Bond. OMG, blonde Bond. He did amazing. He did amazing. I mean, the acting by Mads Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre, he is a great villain. You get some great action set pieces in here, whether it's on the crane or the car chases. And then there's a good portion of this movie that is like just basically mind games almost at playing poker, at the Casino Royale. It's really cool to kind of get an insight into your villain and your protagonist and how they bounce off of each other and how they're messing with each other. And they know it's a lot for me to ramble on about, but it's a really cool movie. It's really smart. And I think it was a super fantastic return for the character of James Bond, and definitely one of my favorite action movies of all time. So fittingly, the next one is Skyfall. And I go back and forth a lot between which one I like more, Casino Royale or Skyfall. Skyfall is probably better, but I don't know if I can say that. Gun to my head, maybe I'm taking Skyfall, but I just think that the story in this movie is probably the best story. Javier Bardem as the villain is just absolutely fantastic in this movie. This is probably Craig's best performance as Bond, although No Time to Die is right up there as well. But I just think that the movie is just acted beautifully, shot beautifully. There's a lot of depth that you get to some of these characters. You have probably the best villain in the entire franchise. I don't care. I said it. Come at me. And you get an amazing finale. It's emotional. It's high stakes. And yeah, I just think that the movie's fantastic, and may be my favorite Bond film ever. So Skyfall, just another one that I'm a big fan of. Next up is one that's probably going to surprise some people, and there's going to be a few in here that surprise some people, and I'm excited about that. Is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, it'd be easy for me to pick, Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, and, a lot of people like both of those movies. This one's more divisive. And I love this movie. I like this better than Jurassic World. And I think the reason I like this better than Jurassic World is because although Jurassic World did its job in reintroducing us to the park and the dinosaurs and everything like that, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom really carves out its own path. You're worried that it could get into Lost World territory when you bring the dinosaurs onto the mainland, but it's handled much differently. The villain is very nefarious in this movie, with a not well thought out plan at all, if I can just say. Chris Pratt's great. Bryce Dallas Howard is great, and their chemistry is awesome. There's some good comedy in this movie. I think the visuals are insanely good, and the Indoraptor is just straight out of a nightmare. And I think that's part of the reason why I do like this movie so much is the Indoraptor and the way they handle the Indoraptor and the way it's shot is very horror movie-esque. If you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They really handle this with just some, I don't know, some nice flair, some nice lighting, some nice, shots. Just it's really, really, really well done. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is probably my second favorite Jurassic Park movie. Probably. So yeah, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is another one that I love, and again, very emotional. Very emotional. The Brachiosaurus being left on the island in the smoke there hit me right in my feels. So next up is my favorite Godzilla film, and that is Godzilla King of the Monsters. And this is another film that's very divisive. You know, people felt like the monsters are incredible. The humans you could care less for. Some of the VFX shots, it's too dark. Dude, I love this movie. King Ghidorah is just an absolute beast. One of the best, monsters I've ever seen on screen, and truly seems like he just, Godzilla stands no match with him. I love the visuals in this movie. I really like Millie Bobby Brown. I really like Vera Farmiga. Kyle Chandler's good in this movie. I really think that, and there's some emotional depth in there, R.I.P. Dr. Serizawa. But I just think this movie is just spectacle from start to finish, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I mean, Rodan is great, Mothra is great, Godzilla is fantastic. I mean, the way that this movie was promised as big-ass titans duking it out for supremacy, and then delivering on that was just, love it. Love it. I saw this movie 4 times in theaters. I saw it on IMAX twice. I loved this movie. I like Godzilla 2014. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy it. However, I didn't need the first half of my movie to be without Godzilla. It's called Godzilla. I know he's there. We all know he's there. Just give him to us. Don't toy around with us. Whatever. I digress. Godzilla King of the Monsters is absolutely fantastic, and it's one of my favorite films that I own. Next up. This one is going to be one for the ages. This is going to really ruffle some feathers. And if you don't like this, guys, please do not leave hate in the comments. Please. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yes, The Last Jedi is easily my favorite of the sequel trilogy of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. And one of my favorite Star Wars films. And I'm not really going to get into why and tell you why you're wrong or why I'm right or whatever it may be. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say that I loved The Last Jedi, aside from the Canto Bight stuff that I could have just completely done without that entire 25, 30 minutes of the movie. I love this movie. It completely subverts your expectations. Completely. At every turn. I know that's why people have, a lot of people have issues with this movie, because it's a Star Wars movie. It's playing in this universe. It's supposed to play by a certain set of rules, and it doesn't play by those rules. I love that. I love how, I guess you could say, how pessimistic Luke is, and he had every right to be. I love the connection between Kylo and Rey. I love Snoke. General Hux. Good and bad, but I think he does a good job. I really think some of the space battles in this movie are gorgeous. The lightsaber duel in the throne room. Snoke's throne room is one of the greatest scenes in Star Wars. Like, seriously, period, point blank. That throne room sequence is incredible. Love that. But again, subverting the expectations of people that have been fans of a franchise that had spanned 40 years, giving us something new. If it wasn't for you, that's awesome. But, dude, I love this movie. It is my favorite of the sequel trilogy. I absolutely love Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Love it. Next up is a movie that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I'm sad about that. And that is 2017's Power Rangers. This is the Target exclusive steelbook. I have multiple editions of this movie because it underperformed at the box office, and a lot of us 90s kids that love Power Rangers and enjoyed this movie went out and bought a bunch of editions of it on home media to try to get a sequel, which didn't end up happening. And it's a huge bummer, because this was how you bring Power Rangers back for the kids that loved it in the 90s. They made it PG-13. They gave you some really, really good, VFX and action sequences. They gave you some comedy. There's some dark moments there with Rita Repulsa for sure. there's also some lighthearted, almost comic booky, cheesy moments for the nostalgia, but neither one is laid on too thick. I thought that the ensemble cast in this movie was absolutely fantastic. This is where the world got introduced to Dacre Montgomery before he went on to do Stranger Things as Billy, and I love him as the Red Ranger. I absolutely love this movie. I am so upset that we're not getting a sequel because I felt like this was handled incredibly well. It was everything I could have wanted as a fan of the TV show and the movies in the 90s. And it was great. It was great. I know they're rebooting it again with Hasbro, I believe. So we'll see, but this was fantastic. This should have got a sequel, and I love 2017's Power Rangers. Now, this is going to be another controversial one, so I cannot wait for the reception on me showing this one. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and this goes with the first one as well. To sum this up really quickly, Tobey Maguire was my Spider-Man when I was a kid. You know, that's what I grew up with because I'm a 90s kid and he was early 2000s. You know, Tobey was my Spider-Man as a kid. When I was a teenager, when I was in high school, Andrew Garfield was my Spider-Man because The Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012, I want to say. Yeah, 2012 or 2011, one of the two. I was in high school. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out when I was 19, or you know what? I'm going to make sure I get this right, guys, because I was 18. When I was 18. So I really identified with Andrew Garfield and his Spider-Man in this movie because that was, where I was at in my life. Also, I've always thought Andrew Garfield was just a fantastic actor. So I was, very excited for his iteration of Spider-Man. A lot closer to the comics, the suit, the personality of Peter Parker, focusing on Gwen Stacy rather than just jumping straight to Mary Jane and then waiting till Spider-Man 3 to then go back to Gwen Stacy, Sam Raimi universe. Although I love it, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying. This was a lot truer to the comic, a lot truer to the source material, and I thought that Andrew was a great Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's no secret to anybody that they're going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home. I can't wait for that, to see both of them on screen with Tom Holland. My childhood and my teenage years. It's going to be awesome. I really like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It definitely suffers at times because of all the villains, but so did Spider-Man 3, and I also really enjoy that movie for what it is. I thought Jamie Foxx's Electro was awesome. I want to get his name right, but I'm pretty sure it's Daniel or David DeHaan. Yeah, Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan as Harry. I really liked him as Harry, and him and Andrew's chemistry was fantastic. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield just blow Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire and their chemistry out of the water. I'm sorry. They're just the most believable couple. There's so much emotional, I don't even know. There's so much emotional depth there and impact to everything that happens to either one of them. They bounce off of each other really well. I just really, really, really love Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield together in these movies, and this movie is heartbreaking at the end. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I just really enjoy the movie. I really enjoy the Amazing Spider-Man films, and I am very excited to see Andrew back as Spider-Man this December. And for the purpose of this not being an hour long, I'm just going to give one more movie that I pulled off the shelf that I really enjoy that might surprise some people, and that is Transformers Age of Extinction. Now, let me just say, the complaints with the Transformers movies are well warranted. These are not Oscar-winning movies that are going to take the public by storm. Having said that, there are some really good movies in here. There are a few really, actually genuinely well-made movies. Dark of the Moon may be my favorite, and then it's probably Age of Extinction. But I wanted to talk about Age of Extinction because, Dark of the Moon, a lot of people do like that movie, but this one I feel like is a lot more divisive. It's got an almost 3-hour runtime. It is a beefy girl. I guess I wanted to say a different word, but you know what I mean. It's a big movie. And let me tell you something. I love Mark Wahlberg in the movie. I love Stanley Tucci in the movie. Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen. Optimus Prime is my dude. I just love that we were able to soft reboot from the Shia LaBeouf films while still being episodic in the sense that it's still the fourth one, but we can kind of go in a new direction with new characters, and it seems like a seamless transition. There are issues with this movie, absolutely. But the last 40 minutes in China are just I mean, they're insane. I mean, it is one of the most insane climaxes I've ever seen. The visuals are fantastic. Some of the acting is just Kelsey Grammer also is great in this movie. He is such an a-hole. I mean, I really, really, really enjoy this movie. And now I'm a sucker for these movies. I enjoy all of the Transformers movies. I really do. But I think Age of Extinction is one of the ones that has better story, better acting, better visuals, higher stakes. I think that Age of Extinction is one of the better Transformers movies, so I wanted to talk about this one. I also really enjoyed Bumblebee, which was kind of more return to more G1 like Transformers stuff. So, but overall, those are just a few movies off the shelf that are non-horror movies that I really enjoy. You know, it's November, so we're in the middle between Halloween and Christmas where you have so much content to talk about, so you kind of are pressed to think, okay, what should I do with this month? So I said, let's go ahead and pull off some movies that aren't necessarily horror. Let me give some people some insight into other movies that I enjoy, and I wanted to do that for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So please, like I said, go ahead and subscribe if you have not already. Comment down below. Let me know what you think of these movies, and let me know what some of your favorite non-horror movies are. Please like the video. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And this is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.